What's out there?
I'm Joey Powers.
I'm Don Tretler.
This is the best pictures.
The ones you don't want to miss.
Hit it. Say hello to my little friend.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Winners go home and prom queen.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
I don't deserve this. Deserves got nothing to do with it. No sequel for you.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Best Pictures / the Best Pitchers. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
Hey, and I'm Don Tretler. Welcome to the show.
And we are, as you can tell, supporting our team. I'm a Yankees fan, obviously, and Don's a Mets fan. They started a 3-game series. I believe it's at Yankee Stadium,
I think it's only 2.
Oh, it's only 2?
I think
Really?
so. I think it's tonight and tomorrow.
What's the point?
Then there's a night off, and the Mets play 4 against the Rockies, I think.
So
I think they had 2. They played 2 the last time, and they'll play 2
You can't play
tonight.
2. What if they split? Then nobody wins. You got to have bragging rights.
That's
know?
right.
I mean, tonight is Domingo Herman against Max Scherzer. So I didn't look to see tomorrow. Is it DeGrom?
I don't know. They were talking about holding him an extra day,
Oh, good.
and because they wanted to split up the 2 aces. They didn't want them so that they were so close together.
Why?
I think what happens is
Because you're going to
teams. What happens is, say, like the Yankees, if they played the Yankees and they would skip the whole series against the next team, which the Rockies, it doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
but-
I can see that to a point. But, I mean, in the playoffs, you're going to want them to be game 1 and game 2, right? I mean,
yeah, you would think.
that just makes sense to me. It's like, because like I said, in a best of 7 series, they each get 2 starts. You're probably going to win that series, more times than not, because there's not a better 1-2 punch in baseball.
Well, who's the Yankees' number 2 after Cole?
I don't even think we have a number 1 right now. I mean, Cole's pitching pretty crappy. He's only 9-6. His ERA's up to like almost 3.5 now.
Wow.
I mean, it's just it's hard. I mean, Herman's just coming back from injury. He hasn't pitched much this year. Cortez is, I don't know. It's hard. It's just like the last month, August pretty much has been such a nightmare for the Yankees. So now I think after yesterday, they're 5-18 in the last 23 games.
And we were saying that you think Aaron Boone's going to lose his job.
If they don't win, even if they, I guess they wouldn't actually fire him if they won the World Series. But anything short of winning the World Series, I don't think he's coming back, because they put restrictions on him after last year because they were disappointed with how the season ended. But on a side note, I don't know if you heard that they retired Paul O'Neill's number.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that
on
earlier
Saturday,
in the season.
and they had the ceremony on Saturday, and Cashman and I think it was Hal Steinbrenner both got booed by all the Yankees fans when they went out on the field.
Wow.
So yeah, well, having a 15.5 game lead and then losing 15 or what 5-18. I mean, 18 out of your last 23 games. I mean, like I said, we still have an 8-game lead. But if we didn't have that 15.5 game lead, we wouldn't be in first anymore. We'd be fighting to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, believe me, I understand, because last year the Mets were in first place.
But you
up
had an
until the
excuse.
All-Star break.
You had an excuse with DeGrom going down too, though.
That's only one guy.
But that's a starting pitcher, though. That's a lot different than your DH.
Oh yeah,
who's Stanton.
There was a stretch last year where the Mets played. I think it was the Dodgers. It was the Dodgers Giants or Dodgers Padres for 11 games, and they went 1-10.
Oh, that's brutal, isn't it?
And it was like, that's it. They're done. They're toast.
Yeah.
They were going nowhere after that.
I mean, I have no confidence in the Yankees right now recovering. Because even if Stanton comes back, all of a sudden we're going to be scoring 9-10 runs a game again. I mean, one guy doesn't make that much of a difference. I mean, I can see Judge having the year he's having. That could be a big game changer. But, I mean, Stan's only hitting 220. It just so happens to be every time he makes contact with the ball, it goes over the fence, you know? But it's just, no, I mean.
Well, how do you feel about having Paul O'Neill's number retired? How does it strike you?
It's deserved. I mean, he played from 93 to 2001 with the Yankees. He won 4 World Series. He hit .303 in his career as a Yankee. He played for the Reds from 86 to 91. I didn't really know him much back
Did he
then.
play anywhere after that, or he retired?
I think
as
he
a Yankee?
retired in 2001.
Oh,
I think. I'm not positive. 'Cause I don't know why he would have left the Yankees because he had a very successful career. And he was very popular with the Yankee fans. Red
Yeah.
Sox fans hate him. I think probably most fans that aren't Yankees fans hate him because whenever he would pop up, this is funny because they actually gave him a water cooler as part of his retirement gift yesterday because he used to hit it with the baseball bat so many times. Whenever he would like do a pop up or something, like he smashed his bat one time because he hit a pop up and it ended up being a home run. It's just he was just such a perfectionist at the plate and in the outfield. I mean he was a really good ball player. I guess Hall of Fame. Not, I mean, I don't know what his career numbers all around were, but like I said, for 8 years in New York, he averaged 303. That's pretty impressive for an 8-year span.
well, it's interesting because I'm looking at the Mets have retired a couple of numbers recently. I mean, a few years ago they retired Piazza, which I get. He's a Hall of Famer.
Deserving.
He meant a lot to the city.
Yep.
It was a big deal. But recently they retired Jerry Koosman, who was on the '69 team.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't remember that name.
You know why? Because he's overshadowed. He would have been the ace of their staff. He was overshadowed by Seaver. He pitched during the Seaver years.
Right.
He's a left-handed pitcher, so righty-lefty combo, and they retired it. Not that I don't like him, but he's not a Hall of Fame player. So I kind of felt like, does he deserve that thing? And then recently, Keith Hernandez, who also is not in the Hall of Fame.
I think I think Keith Hernandez has an argument for being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I think he's talented enough. I think he had a talented enough career that he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how close he ended up getting.
He's got to be pretty close. He won an MVP.
Right.
His team's won 2 World Series.
I was going to say.
He means a lot to Met fans because
who did he win that World Series with other than the Mets?
Cardinals.
Oh, Cardinals.
1982,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing his stats. I thought he was Hall of Fame worthy. I remember his stats. Did they seem like they were similar to Jim Rice's?
Jim Rice hit many more home runs.
Home runs, but I mean, around because Hernandez was a run producer, though, wasn't he? He drove in quite a bit of runs, didn't he, over
I
his
think
career?
he did, but I don't think he went over 100 many times.
No.
He might have done it twice, something like he won.
about-
He won co-MVP with Willie Stargell in '79,
I mean, that's pretty big accomplishment, I mean,
and he's beloved by Met fans. He was the captain of their World Championship team, so to some degree, and it's not that I don't like Jerry Koosman or Mike or Keith Hernandez.
Right.
I'm a huge Met fan. I love them both. It's just do they rate like a retired number?
a question I have: how many players on that '86 team are in the Hall of Fame? Is it
Carter.
just Gary? Is it just Gary Carter? Because Strawberry and Gooden aren't there, and they're not going to get there because of their behavior,
No,
and they didn't end up being Hall of Fame players. Really,
no. So Keith Hernandez really is the only other person off that team.
that could have been because Mookie Wilson wasn't anything great, right? I mean,
No, he's a fine ball player,
decent,
but not
right? But not Hall of Fame caliber. He was the leadoff hitter, right?
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, I guess Strawberry might be the next. Strawberry and Hernandez are next to Carter are the next two
Right.
that potentially could be, but
Gary Carter started off with the Expos, right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, played a lot of good seasons. I got into this online argument with people. They were retiring Keith Hernandez's number. I said, why not retire Gary Carter's number? He meant just as much to that team. But then they said, oh, his numbers, and his numbers were not as good as Keith Hernandez's as a Met.
Right, as a Met. Okay, I understand that. So his number is probably retired by the Expos
Oh, yeah, I'm
or
sure it is.
Nationals, whatever. I don't know how they carried that over.
Yeah.
So what was the deal with Montreal? Because they lost Gary Carter and Andre Dawson right around the same time, pretty much.
Oh, and they've lost a whole lot of players.
But
They
I
were
mean,
like a
those
minor
two
league
were
team.
Hall of Fame players.
Yeah.
And they lost them right around because Dawson was the '87 league MVP with the Cubs. I think at the time he was the first player in Major League Baseball history to win league MVP for a last place team. And then I think A-Rod was the next in 2003 with the Rangers. So that doesn't happen often. I think Stanton's last year with the Marlins.
That could be.
He won league MVP as in the last place team.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not very common.
Well, it's interesting. I'm trying to think who else. Didn't Tim Wallach get in the Hall of Fame too? Or am I wrong? Am I thinking of somebody else?
Don't know. I think his numbers were probably close, but I don't know if he actually did or not. What about Tim Raines?
I don't think
I don't think
he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's in the Hall of Fame either. But
He's
that's
close,
That
though.
was a talented team. It makes you wonder why they didn't stay together.
Well, I remember looking at attendances for the different teams, and the Expos, when they won, their fans showed up. It wasn't a matter that the city didn't support them. It was a matter of they kept peddling all their best players,
Right.
and getting rid of them.
Right.
They had some competitive teams in the strike year.
So
I
they're
think it was
like
81.
they're like nowadays version of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, I was thinking of
Everybody or the Pirates.
maybe I'm trying to think of who the other team is that gives away everybody.
Yeah, Tampa Bay forever.
Florida.
would do that, and the Marlins.
Florida Marlins.
Yeah, the Marlins. That was an attendance. I think both those teams, Marlins and Tampa, that's a football state. It's always going to be a football state. College football and pro football.
Yeah.
Always going to be Florida's. Always going to be their go-to. I'm surprised hockey's still in Florida. Because it's just not.
Two teams, yeah.
Yeah, it's just. I think one of them. Didn't the Panthers win it once?
I know that the Lightning did.
Lightning
Tampa
have won
Lightning
it too.
a few times.
Yep, a couple
multiple.
times. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Well, I was going to offer a bet, but I feel like we shouldn't bet because it's only 2 games. It's 1-1, and nobody can win. So, but
unless I'm mistaken, I could be mistaken.
You're probably right because Wednesday is generally traditionally the travel day, the off day to travel for the next series. So, and it's generally Monday or Wednesday of the week.
And I think they play in Yankee Stadium, so this
Yep.
is part of what's considered a road trip for the Mets.
So we played 2 times earlier this year.
Yeah,
And how'd that go?
Mets won both.
Won both. Okay. So.
Now this is rare. I mean,
the Mets are going to win the season series if these are the last 2 games because we're not going to beat Scherzer. No, the way we're hitting.
well, I don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
Scherzer lost the last time out. He pitched against.
Still got some pretty good stats.
the Braves.
9-2 with the 2.15 ERA, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's still pretty good.
They got 4 runs off him, which is not a big deal for any other pitcher, but for Max Scherzer, that's huge.
4 runs for the Yankees right now is like a slugfest. I mean, if you looked at the last 23 games, I bet we scored over 5 runs maybe once.
So are you
Which
thinking
is
they're
not-
going to make the playoffs? What's your gut feeling?
It would have to be an absolute epic collapse at this point because how many games are left?
Right.
I mean, what, 30, 35 maybe?
Oh, I'm trying to think of what the record is.
I know, I'm
70,
trying to
40,
think.
100. Yeah, I think there's somewhere in that 40.
Yeah, 35, 40
35,
maybe.
40, yeah.
I mean, so to lose an 8-game lead, but I mean, they already lost a 7.5-game lead in 23 games. So who knows?
Yeah. Have you had to endure this before as a Yankee fan? Have you had to endure this type of...
Yes and no. Yes, but not. I guess the quick version would be no, not considering the high level that they were playing. But I've seen them play this poorly. But not going from the best in baseball, well, that pretty much hands down, to this crap. No, I've never seen that in the same season like that. I mean, I think it was 2008 was like really, really a rough year, and that's when the Yankees decided, we're going to bring in Mark Teixeira. We're going to bring in CC Sabathia. They made a big splash. They tried getting Cliff Lee as well. That didn't work out. And then 2009, we won the World Series, But yeah, I mean, it's if we don't win it this year, that'll be 13 years. That's a long time for the Yankees to not win a World Series. I mean, they didn't win one at all in the 80s. That's pretty much the only decade that they've never won a World Series. But then you think about it, 2010 to 2019, I don't know, what do they call that, the 10s?
Yeah.
They didn't win it in that decade. So
No.
that's two of the last 3 decades that hadn't won.
My team's getting close to 40 years since they won that World Series champion. And you know what? It's not even that big a deal to me because I got to experience that one. Now you've had more than one,
5.
but yeah.
5,
And I've
But,
got that one was so huge to me that it's at least I had it in my lifetime. Whereas a lot of those Cubs fans didn't. Red Sox fans. How many Red Sox fans died without a world champion?
The one thing I got spoiled of was 4 and 5 years. That doesn't happen pretty much in any sport to anyone. Hardly,
Right.
4 and 5 years, that's pretty, it's like Golden State has won 4 of the last 8 championships. It's unheard of. You take away, like the Celtics back in the 60s, that was different. And then Michael Jordan, other than that, there's not really anyone in the NBA that's done that.
No.
That precedented. I mean, the Lakers did and the Celtics did in the 80s, but they kind of split that decade between the two of them. And then the Bulls just kind of took over at the end of the 80s and most of the 90s.
That's true. Nobody's really dominated baseball. I mean, you think of in the 70s, they had, the Oakland A's. 3
Yeah.
years in a row, they went to the, I don't know if they won, but they
With Cincinnati too, right?
might have won
And
three.
Cincinnati won a couple with the Big Red Machine. They
won
a
two
few.
back to back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that not a lot. There's not a lot of teams that went beyond. Maybe,
Yeah,
I don't know.
The last run in baseball was the Yankees.
Yeah.
4 out of 5 years, from 96 to 2000. And then they even made it again in 2001, and they choked in Game 7 against the Diamondbacks. But we did have one other thing to talk about.
Right.
Well, movies in general.
Well, wait. I was going to ask you one question though. What do you think is the reason why the Yankees have gone on such a spill?
I don't know why they're not hitting. I don't know. I mean, their pitching hasn't been terrible. It hasn't really been great all year. But, I mean, they're just not hitting. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense because we have a great lineup. We probably have the best lineup in baseball. Even without Stanton, we still have a pretty amazing lineup. They're just not scoring runs.
Right.
They're getting hits, but they were just getting singles, and people are getting left on base. They're just untimely hitting, I guess, would be the answer. I don't know. They're just struggling. They're all collectively struggling all at once. It's
Yeah.
generally not the case that the whole lineup isn't hitting. There's generally one or two guys at least that are hitting. And God knows when they're on fire, they're all hitting.
That's the way it works.
And that's when they put up 10, 15 runs a lot, which they probably have more than anybody else has this year. But they're just not clicking at all right now. I don't know.
And I think that's the clicking. I think that's what's happened with the Mets.
It could be a
the
club-
Mets have a lot of guys from last year. Granted, they added some incredible free agents, but
Yeah.
well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, really, they
Scherzer-
added Scherzer, which
Scherzer's
is huge.
But in a way, almost DeGrom was like adding a free agent too, because you didn't know what you were going to get.
Right.
And now, like you said, he looks just like he did last year.
I mean, but these guys are hitting too.
You're-
I haven't
they're-
seen a team like this, but
They're hitting on all cylinders right now.
they just seem to really be clicking as a team. They really get along. They're supporting each other.
I was looking at the standings today. The Braves actually have a better record now than the Yankees. I was like, man, we don't even have the. I think we have the fourth best record now. Fifth.
Right.
Because the Dodgers have a better record than us, Astros have a better record than us, and then the Mets and Braves have a better record than us.
Yeah.
And we were number one for the majority of the year. But they're just, it's just. I don't know if it's a clubhouse thing or what. Because Judge got beaten yesterday, and Garrett Cole took offense to it, and he was sticking up for him and stuff. So it feels like the camaraderie's there, but something's off. Something's not gelling for whatever reason.
Right. So we should talk about our other big thing.
Yes.
Joey and I went to the movies last week.
Last Tuesday, we went and finally had a night off at the same time where we could do something, and we went and saw Top Gun Maverick.
Because we've been talking about it. Everybody who's seen it said it's a good
great
movie.
Reviews. Everybody has raved about it. And so we saw it was playing in Springfield, and we're like, let's go see it. And what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good.
I did too. I always, as you know, I get high expectations for movies, and then I have too high expectations, so I'm let down. This I had extremely high expectations for, and it did not disappoint.
Right.
It was definitely different than what I expected. I don't know if you kind of saw
I don't know. I kind of thought it was the same story that I was kind of expecting of the whole thing. But even saying that, I was thinking about this in the car. A lot of the stories that we see in movies, sometimes they're repeated over and over again. But if they're done just right, such as boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back again.
Right.
It's a ton of movies like that.
Yeah.
But when they hit it right, like Officer and a Gentleman,
Yep.
it's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what this was too. They hit all the notes just right in that story.
And I thought it was well cast. I wasn't big on Miles Teller, and then I actually, you know what I watched? I actually finished it last night. I didn't even know he was in. Was the remake of Footloose. I didn't know he was in that. He's
I didn't know that.
He plays the character that Chris Penn played in the original.
I don't think I even saw the original.
Well,
I think I steered clear of it.
neither one of them are very good. But the remake actually was better than I thought. I was kind of surprised. And like I mentioned to you, I got Whiplash, and I'm going to watch tonight, and then hopefully you'll be able to watch it this week, and we can talk about that.
Now, when you
next
say you
week.
don't like him, what have you seen him in that you didn't like?
Oh, I saw the Divergent movies, like
all right, I
Divergent and
didn't see that.
Allegiant, and
Yeah.
and I don't know. He's not one of the main. Well, he is one of the main characters. He's not like the lead actress or the lead actor, but he's one of the main characters. And I don't know. I just didn't think he was a very good actor. But he gets rave reviews in Whiplash, and I thought he was great. He plays Goose's son.
Yeah.
In,
Yeah, I thought he
Maverick,
was good.
and I thought he was really good in it. I wasn't too too big on the mustache. That was kind of corny, but I get it.
I think because his dad.
That's what Goose looked like,
Right.
And he actually kind of looked like a younger version of Goose.
Yeah.
I guess not really a much younger version because that's probably the age Anthony Edwards was when Top Gun came out. But yeah, we both mentioned it. Jennifer Connelly still looks amazing.
Oh, yeah, I think she's 50. I think I looked it up and she's 50.
Yeah,
and
she's beautiful. She's just aged very well.
Oh,
and she's a very talented actress as well. Tom Cruise is always, I think Tom Cruise is great in everything.
I left that movie and I told people, I said, boy, Tom Cruise looks fantastic, because I say this, Tom Cruise is 2 weeks older than I am. So, I said this to people and they go, well, you look pretty good too. I'm like, well,
Yeah, no, you do though.
I don't know if I look as good as him. He had his shirt off in the movie. And not that he looked like a young guy, a young guy body,
right.
But for his age, the body he's got is
fit,
like,
yeah.
you couldn't imagine a better 60-year-old man.
And Glenn Powell, who played Hangman, I thought he was good. I looked him up, and I guess he's been on a few pretty big movies.
I didn't recognize
I guess
anything.
he's in like Hidden Figures.
Right.
I
couldn't tell you. I don't remember him in that at all.
I haven't seen it. But there were a few pretty big movies that he was in. I don't know if they were big roles or smaller roles or not, but nothing I had seen. But I thought he was actually really good in it too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Val Kilmer wasn't in it for very long. But it was just good to see Val Kilmer out and around being in the movie again, because it's been a while since I've seen him in anything.
Well, I looked him up too after that movie, and he's been working. He's been doing some stuff. So maybe he wasn't as sick. He's not as sick as he was in the movie.
Right.
But he has been sick. He's got some kind of like a throat cancer, I think.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's unfortunate because I always liked Val Kilmer. I always thought he was a really good actor.
And what a shame, because in the movie, they show younger shots of all these guys, Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer,
Right.
and you look, and he was a great-looking young guy.
Yeah.
I can imagine the girls were probably hot for him at the time.
He played Batman in one, I think it was Batman Forever, which was not a good Batman.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of the first four Batmans, to be honest with you. I didn't think any of them were good. But no, it was a really good movie. I really liked it a lot. The plot, I guess, was just different than what I thought. I don't know. I knew he was going to be like
Called back to be an instructor.
like an instructor and stuff, but I guess it was just different for some reason.
And what was great,
but different in a good way.
I don't know if everybody's probably seen the thing by now, but I was going to say one of the great parts was that he gets pulled back in, that he has to fly the mission.
Yeah, which I think we kind of saw that coming in the end.
Yeah.
The very end, I think I asked you as soon as we got in the car. I was like, "So you saw that coming, right?" You're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah." It was pretty obvious. It didn't ruin it though.
But it's cool.
It was. I thought the whole movie was great. I would definitely go see it again. So it gets 8.5 on IMDb.
Yeah.
Which is pretty high. It's number 55 on IMDb all time.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive for a movie.
Probably higher than the original.
It is. The original gets a 6.9, which I think's a little low. I was telling Alex before the show, I'd put the original in like the mid 7s, 7.5, 7.6. I
guess I have to watch it again.
I thought
see
it was
if
that
moves
good.
me. But it had the good music, which they tried to repeat in this one too.
Yeah.
They had to bring. They were really trying to bring you back to that old movie.
And they had what? They had Highway to the Danger Zone, and I think they played one other one from the original.
Yeah,
and obviously, Great Balls of Fire. Miles Teller sings at the beginning. But no, it was good. It was definitely really good.
Is it making money still?
That was something I was going to mention. It just passed Avengers: Infinity War to be number 6 all-time domestic.
Wow.
And it just passed Avengers: Age of Ultron to be 12th all-time worldwide. And next up for the domestic is Black Panther, which is at 700 million, and right now Maverick's at 684.
Wow.
So
It's getting there.
should be a top 5 movie all time when it's finally done. And I did see on Amazon that it's being released on DVD November 1st because I pre-ordered it already. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it running in the box office as long as theaters will still have it.
Yeah.
So
As long as people keep showing up, people like us. Did
but
you think it was pretty? I thought it was a pretty smart move. They never talked about who they were doing that bombing run against.
No, they
Did you
didn't.
notice
You're
that?
right. No, I didn't.
They kept the
notice that.
enemy vague.
Yeah. No, it was. It's back in the top 5 of the box office again. By the way, it was number 4 this week. Dragon Ball Superhero was number 1 with $20.1 million, almost twice what the previous one made in 2018.
Wow, for two guys who don't watch anime, I mean, I don't know about you, that takes me by surprise because I wouldn't
I was
expect it.
shocked.
There
And
must be a lot of anime fans.
BoxOfficeMojo.com was surprised that it made that much. Beast was number 2 at 11.6, which is what they right around their expectations. We saw the preview for that when we saw Maverick. Bullet Train was 3 at 8.0. Top Gun Maverick 4 at 5.9, and DC League of Super Pets was number 5 at 5.8.
Wow.
So this was, I think, the lowest box office weekend since February.
They're not releasing a lot of stuff. I mean, Beast, I don't think Beast was like a major release, but it was the biggest release last weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend they got 3,000 Years of Longing, which is coincidentally, another Idris Elba movie.
Oh, really?
I think it's Idris Elba, and he plays a genie, and he makes a deal with somebody to let him out of his
Oh, really?
bottle or whatever. And then something called The Invitation, which is a horror movie.
I read about that, yeah, but I didn't. Nothing I'd heard of.
Woman gets invited to go to like England or whatever and live in a mansion. And,
It's like something gothic, right? Or something? Yeah. That's. I remember reading that.
and the last one's called The Good Boss, which is Javier Bardem. It's a foreign movie.
Okay.
But it looks really good.
He's a good actor. I like Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
You know.
That's pretty much this week. So there's not anything really huge this week coming out.
No, I think really the next really big release is going to be Halloween Kills, which is probably right in the middle of October, and then
Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, but Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Oh, all right,
is
yeah.
in November, and then right before Christmas is Avatar. So there's going to be some huge ones coming out. But when is Amsterdam? Do you remember when that is?
I'm thinking it was Thanksgiving weekend.
Is it? So that's probably
It's November. I know that for
That's
sure.
probably right after Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Because I know that is in November, the beginning of November. And Halloween Kills is generally the middle of October because they try to do it pre-Halloween so that it runs a few weeks ahead of Halloween and then runs through Halloween. Because the last couple Halloweens that came out both made a lot of money. And this supposedly is the last one, which it's not. You know it's not going to be. If it goes out there and makes money, you know they're just going to do another one.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, we're pretty much out of time. So hopefully we'll both get a chance to watch Whiplash, and we'll be able to talk about that next
And
week.
we'll see who's got bragging rights next week.
Exactly.
If anybody.
So this has been your episode of the Best Pictures / Best Pictures. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
I'm Don Tretler, and these are the ones you don't want to miss.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. Here's Johnny.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.